This is the True American Podcast. I'm your host, Corbin, and we have with us a returning guest, Sister Miranda Stovall. And she is, in the past, she's given us great interviews, alerting us to the presence of pornographic material, novels, etc., in the public school system. I have to be perfectly frank with you guys. I thought, I think Sister Miranda's exaggerating a little bit until she read excerpts of the book to me and until she showed me pictures. And then I started thinking, well, maybe she's a little conservative in what she's saying. Folks, I'm telling you, you got to check out my interview of her. It's on my booktalkwithcorbin.com website. And I want to emphasize to you, judge for yourself. Get a hold of this book we're about to talk about. We're about to talk about this book, Queer Nation. No, not Queer Nation, Gender Queer. And decide for yourself. Decide for yourself. And listen to what she's saying. Don't listen to someone else's characterization of her. Listen to what she's saying. Take note of what she's saying. And then you tell me if you agree with her or disagree with her. Now, Sister, it was back in July 28, where you appeared before the Board of Education. I think it was the Board of Education Appeals Board. Isn't that it?
It's a JCPS SBDM Appeals Board.
Okay. And you were basically saying to them, hey, this book, and again, I want to get this book right, it's called Gender Queer. You're saying, hey, this book is inappropriate. We do not need to have it in any school library within Jefferson County. Doesn't matter if it's 1 or 100 or 2 or 200. It should be in no library. Yes. And from that date, they had 60 days to decide. And they recently decided, it was on September 26th, they decided, the appeals committee decided, hey, no, we're going to keep it in there. And it was a unanimous decision. Now, I want to emphasize unanimous, folks. I'm going to get to the question in a minute. I want to emphasize unanimous. That's very important. Sis, why, in as few words as possible, why are you so opposed to this book, Gender Queer, being on the shelves at public school libraries?
It's simple. It's pornographic. It has pictures and descriptions of oral sex, strap-ons, dildos. It has references to kink.com, which is an actual pornography website. And it's just inappropriate.
And now it's mine. Now, I saw your appeal, your statement before this board. And you said you actually went to that website. And what did you find?
The first thing that comes up, it says, pick your porn, straight or gay. So I guess it leads you. I didn't go any further than that. I was not about to.
Right.
I'm thinking from reading the other Google, Google brings up all sorts of stuff when you Google something. And I'm thinking from everything else that I read is it'll take you to several different sites, depending on what you keep searching through their site.
Okay, now Gender Queer, I want to make this clear to folks because they've got to understand the facts of the situation. Gender Queer, this book, is available to what ages?
It was in middle school when I first started this process. The middle schools have told me that they removed it. However, it is still showing up in their online library world catalogs. And it is in high schools. They do admit to it being in high schools. So that's children as young as 14. Like when my daughter goes to high school, she will turn 14 in April and go to high school in August. So she will be barely 14.
And in this book, they're talking about sexual devices, as you say, strap-ons, dildos, showing inappropriate pictures. And
with the devices in the pictures as well.
And they had that porn site address. I forgot the name. Was it kinko.com? Was that it?
Just kink.com.
Just kink.com.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you go anywhere with internet access, any computer with internet access, you can just punch that in and boom, you're right
Okay.
there.
Or
Watching
like they tell me all the time, the kids have cell phones glued to their hands. Well, I mean, then right there you go.
right
You
there.
know, you're
Okay.
you're giving them an actual porn site to go to.
Right. In the book. It's clearly there in
In
the
the
book.
book,
Now,
yes. I can actually, I think I have it marked in here.
now are you asking for this book to be banned in public libraries, private bookstores?
No, I've never challenged a book at a bookstore or a public library. My only concern is the K through 12 public schools. I think they should use wise discernment when taking care of other people's children.
Yes. Well, I tell you what, if my daughter was in middle school or high school and that book is there at the library, I would have hit the roof.
Yeah.
I,
And
I I would assume in sending my child to school
yeah,
that she's not going to have access to pornography.
right.
Just a clear assumption. And,
Right.
and that's the way that's the way I would take it.
So
But,
here's the kink.com.
okay. All right. Very clearly there, folks. And again, I want to urge parents, decide for yourself. Go pick the book up. You can probably go to Carmichael's bookstore and you can probably get a copy of it. I'm just going to say that. I'm not going to say anything more.
Don't disagree with them though.
Right. Don't
You might get a
disagree.
book thrown at your head.
Right. They're tolerant, but they're not tolerant of people who have a different moral standard
Yes.
or people who have a moral standard, period.
But like I
Uh,
said, that's a place that parents, if they think this book is beneficial to their children, they could absolutely go there and get this book,
Right.
you
Yeah.
know. So
Now you're there. I also listened to your statement from your attorney, Clint Elliott. Is that the correct pronunciation of his name,
yes.
Clint Elliott?
Mhm.
Okay. And he made a very interesting point. He actually referred to Kentucky law, and he basically said, "Hey, per Kentucky law, it is illegal for an adult to make pornographic stuff accessible to young people." Now, am I getting that correct?
Yes, that is correct. However, there's an obscenity exemption for educational purposes.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the loophole that school libraries have. Because if they say that this is educational and has literary value, then it is exempt from the laws.
Mm-hmm. I want people to very clearly hear what you just said and take note of what you said, because personally, I find that disturbing, because then you want to talk about a slippery slope.
Yes, absolutely. And that slope has gotten very slippery.
Right.
And I'm finding more and more books almost on a daily basis now that are just wildly inappropriate for school age children.
Right. Do you have any concern about, children or children and young people who view pornography?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, we have people that end up with pornography addiction, and it leads to what's the word I'm looking for? Bad sexual relationships down the road. I mean, it's not fostering a healthy sexual relationship for their adult life.
Yes.
And young kids are susceptible to being addicted to things. I would think, they're impressionable. Their minds are like sponges. They're absorbing things. And if they find something that they like and it makes them feel good, then, here we have a problem.
Yeah. And I'm glad you put it that way, because I don't believe this is a partisan political issue. This is not a Republican Party, Democratic Party issue, liberal conservative issue. This is, as you pointed out, it's the law. And are we to, I personally believe there's no justification for exposing our children to something that it could be extremely harmful to them down the road in the way of addiction. I mean, what's next? We now, we start talking to them about how great cocaine is and how wonderful it is, and
Right. I
it makes you
mean,
feel great. And
I
we
think
have
it's
both.
our job as adults to make sure that children all around us
Mhm.
are not coming into contact with things that could hurt them,
Yes.
in their young age.
Well,
So,
I can definitely tell you there's a local group. There's a group here in Louisville called Strength in Christ, and they're doing, at the present time, a 10-week course on pornography. And they've had several men speak before the group, and every last one of those men have said that their issue, their addiction to pornography and the subsequent sexual dysfunction, dysfunctions, it all started at a young age when they were exposed to pornography at a young age.
yeah,
And these men are not, I mean, many of these men end up, as they're giving their testimony, becoming very emotional because they realize that, man, at a young age, I was deeply scarred.
yeah.
I was deeply scarred. So I appreciate your bravery in stepping up on this. Let me talk little bit again about, well, I mean, let's just, again, it was unanimous decision, and there was a parent on that appeals board?
Yes. So
Wow.
the way that I understand that the members of the appeals board were picked is the JCTA picked the three, I guess, JCPS employees. I think one is a principal. I'm not sure about the other two.
Mm-hmm.
And then the 15th district PTA picked the parent to be on that board.
Okay. All right. Boy, I'd love to interview her and just sort of try to get into her head a little bit on what the justification was. Because as a parent, I'm sorry, I just can't see it. I prefer to err on the side of caution and just say, hey, little girl, you're 18 now. If you want to go look at that stuff, that's your business.
Right.
You know what our family values are, but you're an adult, you got to make your own decisions. But
Right.
up to that point, no.
Yeah,
There's no.
I
Just
agree.
err on the side of caution.
Yes.
Now, the person who opposed you, so to speak, was Dr. Lynn Reynolds, Executive Director of Library Media Services at JCPS, Jefferson County Public Schools.
Mhm.
What were like one or two of her objections? Well, I guess you couldn't say objections, but she was supporting, very clearly supporting, having this book stay in school library.
Yes. She mentioned that books are a window or a sliding door for kids into another worldview, and that it helps them learn about other people, I guess. And that this book is necessary and life-saving for LGBTQ students.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I think that was her kind of main points in that.
Okay.
It's been a little while since I watched her
Right.
testimony, I guess, but
Yeah. But are you? I mean, do you hate so-called LGBTQ XYZ?
no, I don't hate
Whatever.
anybody.
Right.
Honestly, I'm a firm believer in you do you and I'll do me. Like it doesn't bother me. If
Right.
that's the lifestyle that you are choosing and
Mhm.
comfortable with, then that's your business. That's not my business.
So your issue is, should we make available pornography or pornographic material to young people, to children and young people? That's your issue.
Right.
Correct?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely, 100%. It doesn't have anything to do with LGBTQ. I've never once said that. I've never once disputed the character's identity in the book.
Mm-hmm.
I have completely left that alone. That's not the concerning part for me.
Right.
The concerning part is the graphic images of the things I described to you earlier.
Right. So, and I do think Dr. Lynn Reynolds mentioned something about literary value. So, and I'm wondering, if I was the editor of Playboy or Hustler or Penthouse Magazine, I guess I can make that argument. Hey, I've got great literary value here. Let me let my magazines show up in school libraries. I just didn't quite get that. But I think she also sort of compared what you're trying to do with what was done in the times of when Nazism ruled Germany. Is that correct?
Yes, yeah. She made a comparison to Hitler.
Hitler.
Hitler banned or burned 25,000 something books.
Yes.
And truly, to ban a book is to make it illegal for purchase. It's not illegal for purchase. I've never once tried to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I am challenging a book inside of the K through 12 public schools.
Right, right. And I do know, at least when I was growing up, I could not legally buy a Playboy when I was 17.
I don't think you still can. I don't think until children are 18 years old, they still can't, and they can't order pornographic movies on the internet. I mean, they have to be of a certain age. You can't go see a rated R movie until you're 18, unless you have your parent there,
Right.
Like, I mean, all these things are just, I thought it was common sense. Apparently, I was really wrong.
Right. You remember the Nazi movement. You didn't realize it.
Right.
I hope you know you're German. Sieg Heil, or whatever is it. Hail to the Fuhrer or whatever. I mean, it's amazing. Like you just said, it's just common sense. When I shared this story with other, friends of mine, they couldn't believe it. They said, "No, you're not serious. There's no way." I said, "Well, listen to her. I've done 2-3 interviews of her and check her out."
Yeah.
Miranda Stovall has no problem whatsoever in showing you her evidence and sharing her research. She has no problem with it whatsoever.
Yes. Actually, our next No Left Turn meeting that we're having, I will have several books there with me. I'm going to print out the reports on these books in case people don't want to actually look at the book, but I will have them there for anybody to look at and see if they want. I mean, and there's several of them now that I've collected here.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
How can we get a hold of you and No Left Turn in Education?
We have Facebook pages. We have No Left Turn in Education Kentucky. We have No Left Turn in Education Jefferson County now.
Mm-hmm.
You can always go to nolefturn.us. That's our main website.
Mm-hmm.
And if you'd like to get a hold of myself or Beanie, you can email Kentucky at nolefturn.us.
Okay. Well, we're going to end the interview here. I want to thank you for your time, and I want to urge people, please contact them. Go to that website, go to that Facebook page, try to show up at that meeting and decide for yourself. Folks, this is an extremely important issue. I know as a parent, I sent my child to public school, and I'm telling you, the assumption was, no, she's not going to have access to pornography. It's like what you just said, sis. It's just common sense.
Mm-hmm.
It's just common sense. If I send her to Kroger to buy something, no, she cannot buy Hustler magazine and Playboy magazine. They're going to ask for ID, and they're going to say, no, you can't buy this. Period. Yeah. So, folks, you gotta. There's something going on. There's something wrong here.
Yeah.
Something very, very wrong here. And Miranda Stovall and No Left Turn in Education, they're exposing it. And we have to really check this out and check this out deeply. Thank you. Thank you so much for being with me. And, let's try to do this again.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me on again. It's always a pleasure.
All right.